on Matthias Besch as well, because they've came from behind and are at that point.
Now, Fernando Alonso is not doing the I'll do the minimum and allow my teammates to win the race for me. He did a monster stint during the night and he's ready to go out again. And Roman Rusnov here as well, the gentleman driver. He is a gold-rated gentleman driver, but he is a businessman who can afford to go racing and afford to spend a lot of time getting good at it. He's gold standard. But Fernando Alonso has been, it's fair to say, more than taking up his end of the slack in that number 8 car. He's ready to go back out again. And he put in some very decent and decently long stints during the night as well. He didn't F1 off to bed and get 8 hours decent kip and return to find out that he'd won Le Mans. He's digging in there in the trenches with the other 2 guys and making sure that his car is in the best possible place to win Le Mans. And during the night, you genuinely got the feeling, actually, that he was having as much fun as he's had in a racing car in a really long while.
I'm pretty sure he was, and I'm pretty sure he's overtaken as many cars in his night than he probably has done in his F1 career.
Well, yeah, probably since he left Nissan World Series, he's never overtaken as many cars. Mind you, then he was pretty much always at the front, so he probably didn't do an awful lot of overtaking then either.
Leader of GTE Pro into the pits, the 92, Christensen at the wheel. Onto the speed lane limiter, 60 kilometers per hour. It's still 2.5 minutes in the lead, and still being able to put in the lap times that are equal to anybody else that's out there at this moment in time.
Somebody asked us during the night, why is the pink Porsche allowed pink lights? Well, you notice that they stop being pink when it leaves the pit lane. As soon as it hits the limiter, the main lights go off and the pink lights come on. And then when it heads back out of the pits...
Brake change.
Yeah. Now, we're seeing a brake change for the leader, the 92 car. We have not yet seen a brake change for the 91 car, but if this car needs one, you can bet, as sure as eggs are eggs, the other car will get one as well. Maybe not now, maybe not next stop, but sometime and soon. To almost pray see a line out of Casablanca. Now, they're also, Alan, reaching in with a very long spanner at the back.
I think that's just checking that all the suspension is tight onto the gearbox housing. I think it's just precautionary. They've got 2.5 minute lead, so from that perspective, I would be very cautious, unless you've got a reason not to be. Then that's what you do in these situations.
Welcoming back to the booth, and the welcome dispenser of cups of tea, although actually Lovers did a pretty decent job, didn't he? A teapot, I think, makes a world of difference to the taste of the tea. Welcome back, Karun Chandok.
Thank you very much, Martin. Yeah, I just tweeted a picture of Peter with his kettle and multiple mugs. He even washed the mugs for you, which, you know, has gone above and beyond. Well, he didn't really do a very good job with Alan's mug. Maybe we ought to tweet a picture of that, Alan, just to show how badly
health and safety would probably come and take it away from us.
Badly Dumbrek has washed that mug for you.
All of Alan's hard-earned reputation has been a stickler for cleanliness in the cutlery and dishwashing.
Is the OCD a Scottish thing? Because there's DC, Dario, you've all got a bit of OCD going, haven't you?
Only dishwasher OCD. Kelly tweeted the most magnificent picture recently of a party at your house several years ago, where Alan is standing sternly watching every other Scottish racing driver on the planet, pretty much, reloading the dishwasher properly. Just genius.
You're going to do it, you do it correctly. That's my way of looking at it. It's a way of racing, and it's a way of doing everything else.
Exactly right.
Yeah, DC's the same. He re-irons our shirts for us after we've ironed it. In the, you know, before you do the TV thing, he looks at it and he goes, "Are you sure you've ironed that?" And it's like, "Well, here, have a go."
Are you sure you want to be going on?
Yeah.
Well, listen, a man who wears white jeans everywhere in a racing paddock and in a pit lane has got to have some kind of dirt aversion going on, hasn't he? Definitely.
Right. Moving on.
Yeah. So 5 hours and 56 minutes left to go. We are 3/4 of the way through the Le Mans 24 hours. 18 hours down, 6 to go. And there is your overall leaderboard. Those are the cars that are running and the positions in which they are running. The number 16 and 17 LMP1 cars are done for. And in fact, only on the final page, the Algarve Pro number 25 LMP2 car is still running. We just saw the leader in GTE Pro having a brake change. The second place car is in. Fuel is done. And we cut away before we see whether it has a brake change. The 68 Ford is in. Didn't look like the kit and caboodle was in the pit lane, Alan, so no. Maybe that's waiting for another...
And the wheels are back on as well, so therefore, and it's on its way, as you can see.
Yeah, but they can't afford the gap, can they? Because they're only 31 ahead of the Ford, so that second place car hasn't got the luxury of time.
And it's this car here that's actually in third place and chasing. Yeah, this is the lead Ford right now. Dirk Muller at the wheel.
Now, this will be the first time that Bruni, in ages, that Bruni has stopped and not been passed by Dirk Muller, because normally Dirk Muller stops a lap afterwards. So that Ford flip-flops up into second for a lap and then comes back down to third. Now, for some reason, either the Porsches have gone a lap longer or the Ford stopped a lap earlier because it stopped on the same lap.
Yeah, I mean, they've done the same number of stops, so they're vaguely on the same strategy. And like you say, maybe it's just a question of one lap here or there. But, yeah, they're on pretty much the same strategy. I've seen the Rebellion from fourth place has come in, so Lotter's got out, Bruno Senna's got in it. And we imagine that the Mateus Besch car is probably likely to pit again soon.
I think one lap again is the out of sequenceness of that pairing. So number 3 always comes in, and then the number 1 car after that.
Riding on board with the race leader, Sebastian Buemi, up at the front here, heading down through the kinks towards Indianapolis. He's going to breeze past the Clearwater Ferrari. 321, 325, 6 kilometers an hour, 7, 8, 9. Wow. Before he comes off the power and coasts, as we mentioned before, these hybrid cars tend to coast for about 150 odd meters before they hit the brakes. And the Toyota mechanics getting all warmed up. This is their little wake-up routine, isn't it? The physios and the mechanics, and even some of the management seem to be getting involved in this whole process. So yeah,
that's a very Japanese thing, isn't it? Having the management doing all of that, you know, morning calisthenics and so on. I have to say, I'm A, not flexible enough, and B, far too tired to be doing any of that nonsense in the morning. But you're absolutely right. You know, we saw earlier on Ugo de Sadelaer juggling, and somebody tweeted in going, how bored are the drivers in this race that he's sitting there juggling? No, he's not. He's getting his mind into a little bit of a state of acuity. He's getting ready to get into the car. And, you know, juggling, taking your mind out of sleep mode and into being awake mode.
So the cameraman's having a go at the same thing. That's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
Like that. And the other cameraman's having a go as well. He's having a little stretch.
We're all going slightly stir crazy now. We're into that.
Come on then, Haven, it's your turn.
Middle morning. Now, my craziness is going to involve sitting down with some breakfast in front of me relatively soon, I think. I need to know where we are. We're just past 9 in the morning.
The scrambled eggs were very good this morning. Toby Moody and I have just had our little round of breakfast as the mechanics all getting fully stretched out. The cameraman is brilliant.
The cameraman is at the bar. So there you go. Oh, now they're doing 1 potato, 2 potato.
What is going on there?
That's a little resistance thing.
Yeah, it's just to get the adrenaline flowing.
Right, let's see if they're now all going to do hang cleans and box jumps. There's Rob Luypen. He's going off to talk to TV. We're going to try and get Hunky Dunky to have a chat with him, although Toyota's PR operation seems intent on removing any contact between the media and the team. So maybe in counterpoint, we'll go and talk to somebody else after the race. Rob Luypen with Duncan Vincent in the pit lane. Update us on what Toyota are thinking, Duncan.
First of all, Rob, that was a lovely little morning warm-up there.
Yeah, necessary. It was a long night. We all have to be, get our blood pressure back. The race can still be exciting, but it's good when the guys go out to the next pit stop and Fernando goes into the car, that they are fit and that they stay fit and that they are smooth and quick.
Can you give me an update on how both the 7 and the 8 car are running?
At the present moment it goes quite well. We could discover in the early morning that the 8 was a bit quicker as the 7 due to maybe setup. They could work that the tires work better, so Sebastian could, we say, pull away a bit from the 7 after a very close fight in the evening. And in the night we got a penalty which brought the 8 a bit back. And we say Fernando with a fabulous stint brought it close to and gave it over to Kazuki, who then in the end closed the gap to Kamui. So at the present moment it goes well. We should have a good gap between us and Rebellion number 3 or 1, but still we know a lot of experience how difficult it can become in this place. So we keep modest, we are humble, and do our best to put the both cars over the finish line, hopefully 1 and 2.
Rob, we saw a steering wheel change early on in the evening yesterday. Can you tell us what the steering wheel change was for?
Yes, on both cars we have changed the steering wheels. There was a short problem with the clutch on it, didn't work that well, so like we have done with the rear and front end precaution measures, so we changed the steering wheels on both cars. The others are repaired, so if something would happen we are able to change them back.
Rob Loipen, Toyota, thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Chapter and verse from Rob Loipen. Thank you very much indeed for that, Duncan. Now then, our GTE Pro leader is behind safety car A. Where is the second car in GTE Pro? The 91 car is behind safety car B. I can't believe it's happened again. No, the 91 car is behind safety car C.
Well, it's because it's not going to be able to make up the gap that it had on the circuit. There's nearly a lap there, so therefore it is going to fall behind it. So in that respect, there's no way to gain.
But guys, I think we need to highlight why we've got the safety car first. Because look at that drain there, Alan. Do you really think they're just going to put the drain back without welding it in place? They can't not weld it in place. It's just impossible. The suction from the downforce of these cars.
We will need to make some repairs on the trackside at MP6. We will need to do repairs on trackside at MP6.
This is at Tetra Rouge, and that's on the outside curb. And basically, I think there's 2 points here, Karun. One is that you saw the drain cover there. That needs to be welded to the surround of the drain cover. But the surround of the drain cover has come out as well. And so therefore they need to make sure that the surround is actually sealed into the concrete of the curb and then to weld it in. So there's 2 jobs to be done here.
And I think some of it is because these cars are using so much of that exit curb these days. And also they're producing such a lot of downforce, and the suction from all the diffuser, the floor, just pulls these drain covers up. I mean, that drain's been there for years. It's not a new one. But as you say, it's pulled the whole surrounding bit around it as well, not just the actual cover. And you know, we've seen it at places like Monaco and Macau and stuff where, you know, often things have been red flagged, but or safety car, and they manage to weld it quite quickly and they get on with it. On this occasion, I don't know, I have a feeling this isn't going to be a quick fix.
No, it's not going to be a quick fix.
This is going to be a long old job. I think we could see at least an hour of safety car, because well, how are you going to fix a metal frame into concrete and substrate? And you're going to have to Hilti anchor it, bolt it through.
No, you've got quick drying concrete that they can do that. They've done that in patched up circuits in America before during the middle of races for it, where you've had circuits breaking up. So you've got adhesive material that will be able to do it. The issue is, as you say, Karun, they've got huge downforce, more than any Formula 1 car, even on the low downforce specs. An LMP1 car as just because of the sheer size in the underfloor area, and that just literally sucks up. And that corner's about 130 miles an hour corner. Now these are just the little flappy cones that they're trying to put back in place, and they'll do a rectification of the rest of the circuit. But ultimately people are running out there, and it's the other thing is about that point, you've got like little drain gullies as well. And so you know, you can run over those drain gullies. They're about 50 millimeters deep, but you don't feel them in the car in the slightest.
Now these floppy things that they put down, I've never understood, and I've had this conversation with Eduardo Freitas, I think every year we come here, and every driver has, because the floppies disappear in about 3 laps. And radio?
San Fernando car is cold. You need to keep pushing to keep the tires in temperature, especially the front. No, nothing special. Just do a job, it's fine. The car is cold.
Okay, copy.
Yeah, keep pushing to keep the front tyres. That's the thing there. So he's got to load the front tyre. As soon as you take the load off the front tyre, and with the lifting coast, you do release load from that front tyre, and then it starts to have an issue.
I'll tell you who's lost out the safety car is the #1 Rebellion. They've now, I think they've gone into the other safety car. They're now nearly 3 minutes down from their teammates. They brought the gap to under 30 seconds. And have the Toyotas also ended up in that situation. So Conway has ended up in the next safety car. So basically, Buemi's going to swap to Fernando and get a free stop, isn't he? Because he'll rejoin the safety car where Conway is. And Conway in turn will have to pit and join the one afterwards. So in effect, that has sealed the fate in many ways, isn't it, of that those two inter-team battles.
Right, while it's nice and quiet down in the pit lane, a song from Duncan Vincent or an interview with Elton Julian, you choose.
It's definitely not a song, not at this time of day, maybe in the afternoon stint, but Elton Julian, first of all, you know, we want to be coming here on good news. Unfortunately, the number 10 car, the door's down in front of it. Can you tell us what's gone wrong?
I think everybody saw what's gone wrong. Alan's a driver, he understands. And for a lot of spectators, they saw what they saw, and it is what it is.
How disappointing is it for the team?
It's a compound of a lot of things. I mean, you have to go back to the beginning of the program, through Spa, what it took to get here. You know, but you get to the point where you just keep on trucking.
And give us an update on the P2 cars.
Yeah, it's been a weekend of what ifs, really. Mega potential, mega pace. We just said again the fastest lap of the race. We got our silver driver, who's a proper silver, a gentleman guy, running around doing 29s, which is incredible. But we've just had unbelievable luck with that thing. So, you know, the issue with the wheel in the morning was hard to understand, how with pins and a wheel nut issue, all new stuff. And then a puncture, a mistake by Pastor, and a compound of just unbelievable. I don't know what's left on the menu, to be honest. But yeah, breakfast.
Le Mans either loves you or it hates you, doesn't it?
I haven't had it love me yet. No, I have to say that when I was here, I only drove it 2 times, and the 2 times I was here with the package that I had, I think we got the most out of it, and we're lucky enough to finish in the top 5 in P1 my first time, and then do the same in P2 with the gentleman driver. So it's been good to me. As an owner, not so much yet.
Go and have a good breakfast, okay?
I got a bit of work to do yet, but eventually. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much. Martin.
Yeah, I feel his pain there, Duncan, to be honest with you, because as the Aston Martin with Maxime Martin is driving slowly up towards, and this is slower than safety car speed. Race director?
Car 97 slow at MP16. Car 97 slow at MP16. Car 97, this is not a full course yellow, this is a safety car.
I think car 97 would be going quicker if he was able. What that also does do is that it tells the teams that they can tell their drivers, you can pass this car when you get there with a safety car.
I think, and in fact, that's what the radio should have been to everybody else, is that this car's got a problem. Aston Martin Racing, no, it's a safety car, not a full course yellow. They're not rookies at this race. So clearly that car's got an issue. The message should be to everybody else, this car has an issue. Please go ahead and pass it.
Because now we have to join the dots for what he actually meant by that. We know he's slow.
And not just us, the other drivers too, which is
if we
silly.
join them wrong, we just look silly. If they join them wrong, they end up losing a position in the race, or many positions in the race, or potentially, you know, a trophy.
I mean, the driver there, 97, is doing the right thing. He's driving offline, he's looking after himself and getting out of the way.
Safety car B will soon be overtaking most probably car 97, as well as all the cars behind safety car B.
Okay, again, I know what he meant, but that's not quite what he said.
Anyway, that 97 car's got a problem, so Aston Martin, you can see by the length of their faces that it's not just a mistake in terms of knowing if it's a safety car or an FCY, full course yellow, with a difference in speeds there. But here is the real problem. And this is the fact that that is a drain, just you can see in the left-hand side, right on the line as you come out of Tetra Rouge. These little floppy things are optional extras. That drain needs to be put back into place.
I'd like to see if, you know, what work is happening there. Actually, it'll be interesting to see how much progress they're making and what the sort of thought process is behind repairing that train, because
you know, absolutely, and how long,
and therefore how long it'll take. Sorry.
Actually, what might well happen is Eduardo might jump into a car and go round and have a look at what's going on himself to get an idea, really firm idea in his head.
Yeah,
you know, he certainly will trust the local marshals and the local head of the marshalling team, but he does like to be very hands-on and just see for himself. Now, the only slight problem here is this is not a 2.5 mile lap, it's an 8 mile lap, so it does take him a little bit longer to get back, but the safety car is going to be out for a long while, so he's definitely got time.
But there are cut-throughs as well. You can cut back halfway down the Mulsanne, and there's places to cut back.
Only if you've got the right pass, and then, you know, often even with the right pass, there's a bit of a shrug.
I was very amused when they wouldn't let Neil Yanni into the paddock earlier, and he's standing there with his race suit, his helmet, and hands in his hand. Quite clearly, he's heading somewhere to drive a car, and they. Oh, the 64 car.
64 Corvette is in. That is the better place to the Corvettes. No, it's not. It's the worst. That's the one that had the problems early on, Ollie Gavin. It's an oil pressure alarm on the 97 car, Duncan reports from the pit lane.
Hence the reason to come back slowly.
That is a post-mortem just about to start, isn't it? They're walking away from that, and Ollie Gav hasn't even got out of the car. That is not any sense of urgency.
No.
So, Dunk, I think, actually,
Corvette.
Sunbeam, you need to, well, I was going to say, you don't need to hurry or run, but if you meander down to Corvette, I think you'll find that the number 4 car is, 64 car is in for good.
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely no hurrying or running going on in that car. It's just this is not looking particularly promising for Ollie Gavin.
That's lunch.
Shame is 18th Le Mans, and
let's hear from Toyota.
Sebastian, we box at the end of the slap. We box at the end of the slap.
Okay. 97 Aston, by the way, is also heading Duncan's way at a slow pace. It should get through the Porsche curves before the next safety car queue goes by it.
Here's the welding machine.
Yeah.
He's got his mask on, and getting on with it. So yeah, this is they're not going for the quick dry concrete option, so they must be welding it to two. Oh, maybe they are. There's buckets there of some form of chemical mixture. It almost seems like the two-part foam we used to make seats, isn't it? Where it's all some form of resin mixed together to
showing your age there.
Araldite. It's like body filler, isn't it?
I think it's showing the fact that I race for low-budget teams.
Two very inert substances that, when you mix, go glue together. 20 years of Corvette racing. The man who's been at the top of the tree for the entire time is the ever amiable Doug Feehan. He's with Duncan Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. First of all, Doug, thanks for speaking to us. Can you tell us what's going wrong with the 64 car?
We're having an engine overheating issue with it, so we brought it in, take a look, see if we can diagnose what the problem is, see whether or not we can't find a solution to get it back out there.
Do you think it's a problem that you can fix, or because there seems to be a lot of glum faces?
Right now, I'd say the chances look pretty bleak of it going back out, but, you know, we never give up here, Corvette Racing, so let's see what the engine guys say, and we'll make a determination shortly, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. I love that never say die attitude. There you go, Martin, straight from the horse's mouth.
Thank you, Duncan. Yeah, and, you know, like the Audi team, it all comes from the top. The spirit of Doug Feehan is very much the Pratt & Miller guys and the whole Corvette racing team. They don't give up, and they raced for years. You remember in the early years of American Le Mans Series with opposition wanted on the side of their car when they were the sole kind of factory GT cars. They love to race, and Doug Feehan and his guys won't give up if there's any chance of the engine not destroying itself. If that is the case, then unfortunately they will be down to one of their two cars. 97 makes it into the pit lane, so Duncan can amble gently up towards or down towards Aston Martin. He's already there, so he's prescient, is Duncan. Also very lucky that nothing much else is going on. Bit of snoozing going on in the Rebellion garage as they start to catch up with.
And just just thinking about this little rebellion, you know, looking at the team there, just thinking about them for a second. The Senna car was quite unlucky, wasn't it? Because they brought the gap down to under 20 seconds, and actually they've just missed, you know, the safety cars obviously slotted in just between them and the other cars. So they, you know, that 20-second gap has been the difference between, you know, being under the same safety car, then potentially having a great opportunity to overtake on the restart, to now being 2.5 minutes down, and it's going to take them, I don't know, probably the rest of the race if they've got a chance to get there.
It's the same for Conway as well with the Toyota, with Buemi, because that's now 2 minutes and 5 seconds. It was 40 seconds prior to the safety car, so it's split again.
And this is why slow zones have been such a revelation here at Le Mans, because safety cars always did this. There wasn't a year where races weren't broken up by the safety car not getting, or the safety cars not getting all of a battle in the same group. And slow zones don't do that. They set the field in aspic for a certain distance, and then the race continues. It continues all the way around the lap until you get to slow zone again.
There must be a better way to make it fairer. So, you know, so people don't, like Conway, having lost. I don't know what the better way is, but there must be.
Well, the best
there's lots of clever minds.
A big slow zone. It's where you've got a full course yellow for the whole circuit, and you stay at the same speed, so it's actually just like a pause button on the race.
And it was designed. It was inaugurated in the Gulf 24, wasn't it? The code 60.
Yeah.
So everybody slows down to the same speed. Nothing changes. The slight problem there is everybody's going so slow, potentially for so long, and on the limiter, that you then start to end up creating problems for engines and cooling systems. So you need to have a balance between speed and safety, and at the moment they're still kind of clinging to safety cars as last resort before a red flag.
Yeah, I remember Dubai, I spent 4.5 hours or something under the code 60, and it was the most boring thing I've ever done in my life.
But then
you're driving at 55, 60, or 59 kilometers an hour, basically. 4.5
hours behind a safety car isn't much fun either.
No, it's not. No.
The other thing, of course, is nobody sponsors code 60s.
Get a big flag sponsor or something. It must
being commercially minded.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think it was 2013. We had a rain in the middle of the night, and they had to do the barrier repairs at Dunlop.
Yes.
And I was still in an open-top prototype at that time, the Murphy LMP2 car. And I was so cold because it had rained and I was completely drenched. When you're going quickly, the adrenaline's pumping and your body's warm. When you're going slowly, I was shivering in the cockpit.
That's when you need to pit for a fleece and an umbrella.
And the team, they want you to keep going because you're stretching the fuel as much as you can.
Or you get a closed cockpit car.
Slow zones have been removed. Slow zones 2 and 3 have been removed. Please bear totally right doing the area of Tête Rouge. Please ask cars to bear totally to the right in the area of Tête Rouge.
I don't understand that message. Why would there be a slow zone? It's a safety car.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure, but just one thing, the car, the Porsche that you saw in the pits was Patrick Pilet's car down in 14th position, and it looked, well, the driver was out the car.
Yeah. Well, 94, the other IMSA car, had a crash and a rear-end problem earlier on, and that's out. Leader is in the pit lane. We saw Fernando Alonso ready to take over. Fuel goes in, door pops open, out gets Neil Jarni, and in will get Fernando Alonso, his own little seat insert. And that's not just because he's Diddy, because they're all sort of Diddy. Well, while that goes on, Duncan is down at Aston Martin. What's the story with the 97 car?
Well, the 97 car's up on the jacks right now. Jonathan Adams sits in a toolbox and watches what goes on. Paul, can you tell us exactly what you think the problem is, and is it fixable?
Well, is it fixable or no? When we find out what the problem is, we seem to have lost some oil pressure at some point after the safety car come out. So clear instructions from Lax to get the car back to us, so we can investigate what the problem is. We are a great bunch of guys here, and if it's fixable, they'll fix it. But as you can see, we're fairly early into the process, but it's very well rehearsed, and these The engineers are looking in depth to what the problem is now. We've got all the data out of the car, but we just have to keep digging a bit further now to find out what it is. But at the same time, we can focus on checking the rest of the car. It's not ideal, but at this late stage in the race, our priority was to get all cars to the finish, and that's what we're going to work on.
If it is a scavenge pump, which is an external oil pump on the car, is that a changeable part for you guys?
It's a big task. It's good how you worked that out before we did, but if it is something like that, then everything's achievable, but it's a time frame. But if we can get to the car to the finish, we will do.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Here you go, guys.
Well done, Duncan. Everyone's a comedian, aren't they? But if it is something straightforward and external, that's one thing. If it's a fairly major flaw internally, then that might just spell the end of it. Although, still 5.5 hours left. That's enough time, basically, to build an entire car from a shell. Well, like 5 days, but certainly the Aston Martin guys, like Corvette Racing, as we heard from Doug Feehan, if there's even the remotest chance of getting the car to the flag, for the very least they can do for their team, that's what they'll do. Number 8 rejoins behind the safety car. Number 7 is now our race leader. But if the number 8 Toyota needed fuel, the number 7 Toyota will as well.
Yeah, but the number 7 Toyota, which is in this safety car as well, and so it's only 6 seconds up the road, so when it pits, then it will go to the safety car behind and it'll reverse back to that gap.
You know, Alan, I was thinking about the point you made earlier in the race, a couple of commentary stints ago, about, you know, should Toyota have separated the two cars, have them on a off-sequence strategy and separated them? I think the reason they haven't done that is they can't then control the race as much. You know, if they're running around together, then the way safety cars fall and fourth course yellows fall and things like that, at least they're on the same strategy. If they run them out of sequence, all of a sudden, let's say the car that they were, you know, weren't expecting to be in front, all of a sudden with a bit of safety car, he ends up not needing to make an extra stop, things like that happen. It becomes a slightly harder race for them to manage, I think, and in a way, I think that's why they haven't split the strategies. I think that's why they've let them both run the same strategy.
It's very possible. I suppose it's like children, you know.
I don't have any, you do.
Yes, I do, and you love them all for different reasons, but if they were in a championship, either one of them to win would be fantastic. We're in a one-off race here. We're also in a World Championship at the end of the day, but it's only the second race of a World Championship. We've got another one of these Le Mans at the end of this World Championship in 12 months' time, with it being the super season. But they have played their strategy game and run it the way they felt and predetermined. There we've got also the 31 car left rear tyre coming off again. That's had a lot of problems, I think, that car.
Elton Julian was just telling us how it's been a bit of a nightmare.
I don't think we should get Duncan to go down and speak to him again.
Oh, I think we should.
No, I think that's... Duncan's definitely not too keen on that idea.
I don't think Elton Julian was very keen on it either.
No, I feel for Elton. I've known him for a long time and spent quite a bit of time with him in the last wee while. And yeah, he's put his life and soul into this. Very, very determined character to make sure this team works. And Le Mans has definitely kept just punching him on the nose. And this is just another little one for fun.
Track temperature rising. Pippa Nielsen at Dunlop tells us there's now 24 degrees in the sun, 19-degree ambient air temperature, which actually is 2 degrees higher than the forecast high already, and it's only whatever the time is in the morning, 9:30 here local.
Yeah, coming back to the splitting of the cars, one of the reasons that personally I would have done it is when they were coming through the safety cars, they were taking risks that I felt, considering that I think at the time they were 3 laps up on anything else, they were taking risks that were just simply unnecessary.
Yeah, sure.
And it didn't matter if they took them or not. They were still, you know, put it like this, if they didn't take them, they would have been still been in the same position 3 laps up.
Yeah, they weren't exactly under pressure from anybody, were they? So, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to see that Dragon Speed car has made it back to the pits with that rear left tyre coming off the rim. They have had, I mean, they had 1 wheel fall off, they had 1 brake disc issue, which Elton reckoned was a puncture. Less convinced about that one. This one clearly a tyre issue, the rear left, it's very visible. So, yeah, it's...
And the crash.
No, I'm talking about just the P2 car.
Yeah, the P2 car.
Yeah, I'm saying just the P2 cars had these three issues, and then you've had the Renger van der Zande going straight through the gravel, damaging the alternator belt, was it? The floor and the alternator belt. And then obviously Ben Hanley off, having the big shunt.
And that's the problem. That's the two professional drivers in that car.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that's tough for Elton, is the two pros that he's hired in the car have been the ones that have had the incidents where his amateur guy who's funding it is the one that's actually done well. Here they're all lined up waiting in the safety car to go past, and then that red light at the end of the pit lane will turn green. It's been quite a quick stop for them. Toby, who's joined us in the booth here, and we're doing a quick pit stop at the same time under safety car. I'll jump out, Toby jumps in.
I think it'll be about the same seat, I reckon, you and I. I don't think there'll be... No, not too much of a difference between the two seats. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan. Karun and myself, Toby Moody, here in the commentary position. Karun, the drain cover at Tête Rouge has now got its own Twitter account, at Cover Drain. You couldn't make it up, could you?
There's somebody quite bored on the grass bank at Tête Rouge, aren't they?
I think the delirium of a Le Mans morning with now just 5.5 hours to go is certainly getting the better of them.
So they're clearing off. They are clearing away, sir.
At Cover Drain goes off in his French van.
It's not actually that bad, is it? It's been 25-30 minutes, which is less time than I imagined this would be for these guys.
The difficulty with the drain cover that comes off is, you know, how do you reattach it? Have you got a mobile welder that just zaps the two pieces of metal together? There was a Repsol-sponsored Porsche, Jesus Pereira, in the mid-80s, a Spanish driver who brought the Repsol money to a 956, or was it 962, doesn't matter, and they were racing at Montreal, and a drain cover came off and made a big mess. In the meantime, enough of drain covers. Duncan, take it away.
Sebastian Buemi, thank you very much for giving us a couple of moments of your very busy schedule. First of all, how is the 8 car running for you guys?
It's actually quite good. I think it's slightly quicker because we've managed to come back a few times with the penalties, so I think it's slightly quicker, not by much. So hopefully it's going to be we're going to have good reliability until the end and no bad luck with the slow zone or safety cars.
Yeah, that's key, isn't it? Staying out of trouble. I've got to ask, team orders, are they in play yet, or what's going to happen towards the end?
What I know is that it's going to be a fight until the last stop, like Spa. So normally, at the last stop, it's going to be frozen.
Okay, the very best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duncan, and thank you, Sebastian Buemi. He is in that number 8 car. It is second at the moment, 6.5 seconds behind the leader of this motor race that is currently headed by Mike Conway. He's sharing the car with Kamui Kobayashi and Jose Maria Lopez, the Brit, the Japanese, and the Argentine in the TSO 50.
So they're talking about slow zone 3, which is the zone around Tête Rouge down to the first chicane, will be deployed on a short call, and they're going to remove the safety car at the same time. So at the moment, Conway leads the race in the number 7 car.
Information to the pit lane, information to the pit lane. The procedure will be the following. At a certain point, not very far away from now, we're going to deploy slow zone 3. At a certain moment, not far from now, we're going to install slow zone 3. It will be at the same time that we remove the safety cars. We have repairs being done on the trackside. The repairs are done. We need the chemicals to work out, and we need them to dry. And slow zone 3 will stay on for quite a while.
So maybe they're using magic metal between the manhole cover and the rim, the frame of that, to sort of bond it together if they haven't been able to weld it, and probably not being able to weld it out of the back of a local French van.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what we expected, but I'm just thinking about how this is going to play out, because Conway now leads. Alonso is behind him, behind the same safety car. If Conway can stretch the fuel out to the end of the safety car period and then pit, he should make a stop, which in effect will only lose him maybe 35, 40 seconds to Alonso on track. So they lost out by being behind the wrong safety car.
So Fernando, just for information, you are behind the same safety car as Mike, but Mike will box soon. Mike will box soon. Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So Conway is probably going to end up about 40 odd seconds behind Alonso. So in effect, if he can pit when it goes green, then it won't be too bad. If he has to pit on the safety car, then it's a big problem because Conway will be 2 minutes behind, which is bad. You know, it's again just bad luck and bad timing for him.
Way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? So Fernando Alonso in with the number 8 car, 7 seconds behind the leader in the same crocodile. We are under safety car. We're under yellows because a manhole cover has broken loose on the exit of the Tête Rouge quick right-hander that takes them onto the Mulsanne, the back straight. So yeah, it's mending itself or bonding itself together. Quote, the chemicals need time to work. So maybe there is some magic metal. It's like a kind of putty which, when it's exposed to air, hardens. Whether or not it's strong enough to hold a manhole cover, and more importantly, stop a manhole cover be lifted with the immense amounts of negative pressure that is generated underneath not only these cars that we're looking at here, but the LMP2 cars, the LMP1 cars, such as we're looking at here with the Rebellion. They're taking their time on this pit stop because they can, because there's probably a queue at the end of pit lane.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other story about Jesus Perez, you remind me, thank you, Peter Fox, was it caught fire in 1990.
Information to the pit lane, information to the pit lane. When we call in the safety cars, we will deploy simultaneously slow zone 3. When the safety cars leave the track, between safety car A and safety car C, we will go to deploy slow zone 3. At the so-called Tête Rouge, drivers under slow zone procedures must always remain on the right-hand side of the track.
Yeah, so Jesus Perez, I think he was on a podium position in a Repsol Porsche 962 or something or other, and he retired at 3:45. Quarter of an hour to go, because 4 o'clock start in those days, if my memory serves. And yeah, he was so close. You know, a Spaniard doing that well in Le Mans in those days was unheard of, because the first Spaniard to win Le Mans was Marc Genet in 2009. Things you thought you'd never think, with all of the Argentines and the pre-war Ferrari, immediate post-war Ferraris, should I say, and such like. So we now go green. The safety cars pull off. They are racing again. The slow zone is between Les Unes d'Hier down to the first chicane. So the beginning of that back straight, as you can see. Now the chaos starts, doesn't it, Karun?
Yeah, the Ginetta going aggressively with...
must always bear right after the next slow.
Okay, I'm sort of over the race record radio here now. We've got the point. There's a slow zone at Tête Rouge. We get it. The Ginetta really aggressive on that restart. 2 wheels off the track, but there's all sorts of fun and games going on behind. Jimmy Bruni in the Porsche. What's going on? Yeah, he's got Dirk Muller in the Ford right up behind him. So this is a genuine race for position, and Harry Tincknell in the other Ford, only 4.2 seconds behind, so he's just further down the same straight. So this safety car and the way the pit stops have panned out mean that we've got second, third and fourth in the GTE Pro race, absolutely nose to tail.
There is Harry Tincknell. He's third from the back, fourth from the back now, behind the weaving Aston Martin, the number 90 TF Sport car. We're on board with number 68. This is Dirk Muller. He's in third position. Sunshine behind him. There goes one of the LMP2 cars rattling through and into Indianapolis. bit of a traffic jam. Let's wait for the Crocodile to extend itself out and give people some space to see exactly what they're doing.
Meanwhile, for the overall podium, the number 3 Rebellion, Matthias Pesch, had to pit. So I don't know if he was starting to run out of fuel or what, but they chose to pit before the safety car ended. So he has now dropped behind the number 1 car. So the number 1 Rebellion, who had the issue at the first corner of this 24-hour race for Andre Lotterer, the Alpine Signatech's going very slowly, Toby.
It is.
It's going very slowly, and he's really backed out of it. So this is a car in a podium position in LMP2, unless he's just chosen to be cautious and allow those cars past. I'm not sure.
Is that Thierry? Yes, it is. It's not the Lapierre helmet. It hasn't got the Brazil. Oh, the Ford goes wide. Has to pay to get back in, doesn't it? The green flashes on the side of that car. That's the 68.
Has he got ahead of Bruni?
He's got ahead of him. So he's got ahead of him. So now they're 2nd, 3rd and 4th position in class. Yeah, the graphic's been changed. He goes very wide indeed. The American mechanics know that 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
No, I don't think so. I think Bruni's still ahead. I think that's a lapped Porsche who is in front of Bruni and could be helping out his teammate.
No, we're on board with Bruni,
yeah,
and that's the Ford.
No, but there's another Ford behind. It's Muller behind. It is Muller behind. That's another Ford that's in front of Bruni. That is, I think that's a Mucker car. I think it's the Mucker car. Tignall's 4.5 seconds behind. You watch. When we see it, we're in the slow zone now for these LMP2 cars. This battle I'm talking about is coming behind. I have a feeling it's the Mucker car in front who is a lap or 2 down, if not more.
66.
Yes.
Right.
Watch.
Sorry.
There, see? There's a Ford sandwich with a Porsche in the middle. And the car in front is a couple of laps down. Here is that Alpine Signatech, as I said, backing out of it. And he's allowed 3 LMP2 cars to drive around him. I don't think any of them are for position, because he is... Thierry is a... What is it? Yeah, he's a lap ahead of De Resta, isn't he? So... it's not for position.
Bit of contact between those two as they came over the hill. As we catch back up. Right, green Ford is 66.
That's
absolutely, you're spot on. Thank you, Karun. So that Ford is 3 laps down. So actually 2nd is the Porsche. 3rd in class is the 68 Ford that we are riding with. And then another 4-ish seconds back, 3 seconds back or so, is Harry Tincknell, Exeter's finest, a little bit further back.
So the Mucker here could help his teammates out. The Porsche guys are going to be on the radio to Eduardo saying, right, get those blue flags out, this guy is a lap car, he needs to get out of the way, blah, blah, blah. But Mucker's game has got to be to try and put Jimmy Bruni off his rhythm here. Bruni's showing the nose to say, look, I'm coming to lap you, get out of my way. And they're about to end their time in the slow zone and go green. Here they are coming out of that first chicane. It'll go green as they get back onto the straight. You can see the green flag. There's the white line. Go. And is Mucker going to let Bruni past, or is he going to help his teammate?
So the Ford in front with the green sunstrip is 3 laps back of the Porsche, and then the red Ford with the red LEDs in the middle of the screen that we are riding with. This is going to be interesting. Harry Tincknell we are with. Mucker late on the brakes, tidy into the 2nd chicane. Jimmy Bruni with the Rothmans Porsche, and we've got an off. That is the Labra competition car, Creed, Rietke and Dragoneau. And they've gone into the gravel. Where is it? It's at the Porsche curves. He nearly held it, and he kisses the barrier on the outside of the circuit. And Romano, it's been an 18-year gap between him driving today and when he last drove. So yeah, that's dug itself in. Goodness me, he's making sandcastles for himself on the beach, isn't he? So that's going to be a while until that comes back, and there will be a slow zone in and around the Porsche curves, if there hasn't been one made already. In fact, it has just been made now as these guys are coming towards it. Bruni's got ahead of the lap car, so Bruni's got clear air in front of the 911 RSR. The 4GT of... Is this Tinknell? No, it's number 67. Yes, it is number 67 of Harry Tinknell. Streaks across the front of the windscreen, the bugs, the rubber, the marks. The team are ready for him to come in as he comes up behind one of the Ferraris. Bruni, Muller going through there. Here is the yellow zone on the back section.
On board with Bruno Senna and Matthias Besch in the other car, now 20 seconds behind, so it's looking quite promising for this car to end up as the best of the rest behind the Toyota. So Lopez has now come in and out of the pits, 1 minute 15 the gap to Fernando Alonso in the number 8 car. So Alonso in the lead, Lopez a minute 15 behind, Bruno Senna 10 laps behind in that rebellion. The number 50 car is about to get picked up, and a slow zone there. Matthias Besch in 4th, about 20 odd seconds behind Bruno at the moment. Jean-Eric Vergne, the leader in the G drive, and they've done an outstanding job. They've led the race in probably the second hour, 3 laps now ahead of the Panis Barthez car, so that's a very, very strong effort from them.
The Labra guys prepare the tools for what they need to get things sorted if that car gets back okay. Is the suspension okay? Did it have a big knock as it went off? The Manitou teleporter, call it what you will, but that's the brand of the teleporter, is about to drag that thing out of the gravel.
That car is 9 laps down on the next LMP2 car, so it was well out of contention anyway, as we're looking at Lopez heading down the Mulsanne Straight in the slow zone behind the Algarve Pro car.
Louise, you're down there in the pits. There's a bit of Ford action going on.
Yes, there is. Harry Tinknell's brought the 67 Ford in. Andy Priaulx has just stepped in, and a fresh set of tyres are going on. And I'm going to go and speak to Harry as soon as he's taken his helmet off and calmed down.
His eyes have gone back in rather than being out on stalks, so...
Here is the 67 car, Toby. They're having a clear the windscreen, as Louise mentioned. This is currently the car that was in 4th place, and he's pitted under the slow zone. So I'm just trying to work out, he's done 21 stops compared to the 19 of his teammate. I'm just trying to work out, I mean, do they have penalties? Why has he done 2 extra stops? I can work out. So basically what I'm trying to work out is, are we expecting, you know, Dirk Muller, Bruni and Christensen, the 3 cars ahead, to come in? Christensen's sort of in a race on his own, but it's more the key point is really what's going to happen with Muller and Jimmy Bruni here, because Tinknell was well and truly in that fight under 5 seconds. I think at some points under 4 seconds even in that battle for second place.
Into Mulsanne goes the number 7. This is Jose Maria Lopez. He's a minute and a quarter behind. There is Harry Tinknell having a quick bite to eat. Bit of sugar maybe. He's just got another 5 hours to go. That car is now in 4th position. It's on its out lap. Louise, jump in at any time you have got Harry. For Harry Tinknell, former LMP2 victor here at Le Mans with Jota, the mighty 38.
Yeah, he should be done and dusted for the race, I imagine. You know, Andy's got in. We've got 5 hours to go. And then, yeah, it'll be about 2.5 or so for Andy, 2.5 or so for Kanaan. So I can't imagine Harry's going to get back in the car.
Louise, you've got Tinkers.
Yes, Harry Tinknell's just brought the 67 in, as we said, giving it to Andy Priaulx. These slow zones, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it looked like there was a drain coming up or something like that. And the GT rules, the GT Pro rules this year, you can only do 14 laps, and we were on 13 laps when the safety car went green, so that was really vital because otherwise you go back one safety car, so you lose a third of the lap. So absolutely, like a big break there for the 67 for it to go green and then put the slow zones in place. So we're happy with that.
Sure you are. Go and have some rest. Will you rest?
Well, I've had a couple of hours sleep, believe it or not. You know, when you got Tony Kanaan and Andy Prieur in the car, you can rest easy that you know, they're going to be doing a good job and bringing the car back safe and sound. So yeah, just get ready for the final stint at the end, big push, and hopefully we can sneak on the podium.
Right, thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Harry Tinknell. Good camaraderie in that garage. Good laughs, good giggles I've had in various airports and big long-haul flights with those guys. Never short of a laugh, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. The Porsche GT leads the GTE Pro category 3 minutes ahead. So the Pink Pig Porsche leads the Rothmans Porsche. There is a new nose by Labra Competition. You've been so used to seeing them with a Corvette, but they're still preparing that nose. They might be on a bit of a shoestring. They might be on maybe not the biggest of numbers of manpower in that garage to get everything all sorted. Here is the Argentine as the Ligier looks as if it's going to get sorted.
Yep, so he's got back going, isn't he, on the escape road, the Porsche curves, and he's going to be able to rejoin the track. So
come on,
if I was him, I'd go left, cut across
the runoff.
That runoff area.
Yeah.
Because there's damage to the rear right, so you don't want to be dragging the gravel and bits of bodywork onto the track. Well done, keep going left. That's what you want to do. And then you just got to drag it back to the pits. And he's got a puncture on the rear right. You can see that the rear right's completely flat.
Yeah, limping it back. Oh dear, the money just for that. Oh, immense amount of money. I mean, these LMP2 cars limited to 480 grand as a set price.
Team manager, car 50, ask your driver to make some zigzags and some braking so that he loses all the gravel outside of the track, please. Tell him to keep on the apron on his left.
I don't think he's going quick enough for the gravel to shoot out of the front over the splitter, really, is he? I mean, he's limping back at your kind of cycling speed, Curran. You know, that's about as quick as it will go. 25 miles an hour, I suspect. And this is why he's had the off, oversteer, 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 and then in to the barrier on his left-hand side. And that's all it takes. All the stones go the wrong way up the bodywork and hitting the radiators, damaging the fins, making the radiators less efficient as the stones rattle their way through. So, oh, money, money, money. In the meantime, he's not got far. Look at the rubber. Look at all the carpet of marbles on the left-hand side. I know that's a very long shot from a very low camera indeed that is positioned on pit lane entry. We can see it outside our commentary position, but look at the carpet in the background of all those little blobs of rubber. I always thought, you know, do Dunlop go out and sweep a load up and go, well, that's our blob, because they can test it chemically, but that's a Michelin blob, and then they can find out what's in a Michelin blob of rubber, because that's the secret bit. There's a €1 million fine if you lose or steal or don't return a Michelin tyre.
Yeah.
That's in the contract.
No, you're absolutely right, and I have often wondered this with, you know, with Le Mans, the amount of pickup that's around, and the fans pick up all the marbles as souvenirs and take them away and stuff, and you're absolutely right. I do wonder if people like Dunlop and Michelin send. I would.
I'm sure they do.
If you were ahead of their motorsport program. Yeah. I think they're all quite tired at the end of the race as well, so I'm not sure I don't know how much they do, but you know, you certainly think about it.
Yeah, what the tyre manufacturers also do, if there's a new circuit, they'll send a guy over in advance and they sort of get a great big slab of plasticine kind of putty material, take an imprint of the new asphalt, and then they can measure it, laser read it, scan it digitally, gigabytes, terabytes, and work out what the grip of the circuit's going to be.
Well, nowadays, Toby, for Formula One, I know this from the Indian circuit, for example, we had to cut a hole which was I think it was 5 inches by 5 inches, a square hole, down all of the surfaces and send it to Pirelli for them to scan. So we had to send it back to the UK from India for them to scan and get a reading on just what grade of stone and what type of surface we'd use for the Indian circuit. It was a very complicated conversation my dad was having with the courier company, I remember, on how we were going to dispatch this blob of tarmac back.
What are in the contents, sir? Well, it's part of a motor racing circuit. No, really.
Yeah, exactly.